5 minutes.
Secretary, pleasure to see you here today. Do you agree that we have a crisis on the southern border? Yes or no?
Congressman, we have a very serious challenge, and I don't think the difficulty of that challenge can be overstated. We also have a plan to address it. We are executing on our plan, and we will succeed. That's what we do.
Okay.
And it's for the very reason, it's for the very reason, if I may, I apologize. It's for the very reason of which I spoke a moment ago.
Okay.
Extraordinary men and women.
Mr. Secretary, you said that to Congressman Swalwell, you said that you consider COVID to be a threat to our homeland, and a serious threat, I assume. Is that correct?
Congressman, the pandemic is a threat not only to our country, it is a threat that we are tackling like never before.
Okay.
It's a threat throughout the world.
All right,
but
thank you.
Congressman
Thank
Swalwell's question, I think, spoke to biological threats writ large, something that we in the Department of Homeland Security have historically addressed, thanks to Congress and the creation of an office that is specifically focused on it.
Do you agree that U.S. citizens must present a negative COVID-19 test taken within 3 days to enter the country after flying internationally? Do you agree with that statement? Yes or no?
I believe we require a negative test for individuals traveling internationally.
Okay, great. Yet there are thousands of foreign nationals that cross our borders and that are released into our communities without us knowing if they've had a COVID-19 test or not, whether they test positive or whether they test negative. So there appears to be a more lenient standard for foreign nationals crossing our border illegally than for American citizens. So why is that?
That is not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
It's unequivocally not true for the reasons I've expressed.
So are we testing every, are we testing every foreign national that crosses our border to see whether they have COVID or not?
It is our policy, as I have articulated before, Congressman, it is our policy to test individuals who are apprehended in between the ports of entry, to test them, and if in fact they test positive, to quarantine them. That is our policy, and we have built practices to execute on that policy.
So can you assure the American people that no one who has been apprehended is released into our communities with that still test positive for COVID-19?
Congressman, let me be clear. There were times earlier when individuals were apprehended and we sought to expel them, and we were unable to expel them, and we were compelled to release them, and we did not have the opportunity to test them. We have addressed that situation.
So right now, as we speak right now, you're telling me that no one is released into our country that is COVID-19 positive.
Congressman, allow me to repeat myself if I may.
Well, that's just a yes or no question. Just yes or no.
No, it's Congressman, if I may. The situation at the border is complex, and the complexity is evidenced by the questions I've been receiving throughout the morning. So please, if I may, it is our policy to test and to quarantine.
Okay, but are you executing to that policy 100%?
We are doing the best we can to ensure that the policy is executed 100% of the time. That I can say.
Okay, the best we can. So it is still possible then for COVID-19 or for foreign nationals who test positive for COVID-19 to enter our country. That's what you're saying, I guess?
Congressman, we do the best we can in everything that we do.
Okay. All right. Since the Biden administration took office, thousands of people have been released into the border communities. According to media reporting, since January 25th, 2021, at least 108 migrants tested positive for COVID-19 after being released into Brownsville, Texas community, where they proceeded to travel to cities throughout the United States. The mayor of Yuma, Arizona, told reporters that migrants are not being tested for COVID-19 before being released into his community, despite assertions made by the administration. And I just heard what you said. So is it the federal government's job to enforce our laws and not burden states with a public safety crisis resulting from federal policies?
Congressman, it is our responsibility to enforce federal law. And the situations of which you spoke are precisely the situations that I provided in my answer to your prior question. There were instances in which individuals were released. And you mentioned Brownsville, and that is an example of that. In Yuma, Arizona, we didn't have the relationship with community-based organizations. They did not have the same footprint. And it is precisely why we built the additional practices to which I referred earlier this morning, why we've built different practices to plug any hole to ensure that our policy, to the best of our abilities, our policy that everyone is tested and quarantined as needed, and that is what we have done. What we do is we address a challenge. And if we see an element of that challenge that we are not addressing, then we know what we must do and we do it. And that is precisely what we have done here and across the board in addressing the migration of individuals at our southwest border.
Gentleman's time has expired.
All right.
Chair recognizes